Welcome one and all to the Theater of Blood, where glory awaits those who enter. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's what these two are constantly yelling about. Hello everyone, my name is Nick and I'm on a mission to improve my skills at RuneScape, and today is going to be no different. Today we step foot into the hardest raid RuneScape has to offer, the Theater of Blood, better known as TOB. Here we have a total of 5 different mini-bosses leading up to the head of the Vitcher family, Furzik. Today's goal is just to unlock the content for me to do in the future with groups, which may be confusing to new viewers. In this series, I have a small set of rules, and the first one being that I have to do everything solo before I'm allowed to be gracefully carried through a group activity. Today's goal is to complete every combat achievement possible here at the entry mode version of this raid, granted they can be done solo. So these 2 achievements, for example, require at least one other person in the raid with me, and since I have no friends, we're just going to toss these 2 out for this challenge. Besides those 2, there are a handful of achievements that we can get. I have completed this entry mode version before while doing the quest to unlock TOB, so there's only 5 total combat achievements left to get. The ones that I've already gotten are pretty much given to everyone that's followed the quest guide for a raid, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them at all. What I am going to do though is shout out QCS's Old School RS's Speed Chaser walkthrough guide that I found here on YouTube for showing this noob what I should be doing. I always like to showcase the guides that help me out while I'm doing research for a challenge, so if you have any questions on why I'm wearing the gear that I have, or the ideas about how to go really fast through entry mode raid, links to this video are found at the top right and in the description below. Speaking of the gear though, this is what I'm going to be bringing into the raid. Alright, I hear you already typing it out in the comments. No, you do not need this level of gear. This is entry mode TOB after all. It's designed to be handled while doing the quest and is significantly easier to do than normal TOB. Honestly, this raid can be done in just Void with a few switches, so take what you see here as the definition of overkill, but regardless, the key items that I want to talk about, I did sell some gear that I used at the Inferno to buy the Dragon Claws and the Toxic Trident. Claws are of course incredibly good for a spec weapon, and the Toxic Staff actually beats the Shadow, at least in my eyes, because it doesn't cost an armor leg for each charge, and I can still one-hit the Nihilakisses when I actually get to that room, and I'll talk more about that later. The only other thing to note here is the Salve Amulet E and the 2 Phoenix Necklaces that I have, which will be used to kill Bloat extremely fast for the speedrun time. That pretty much covers all the intro junk that I wanted to talk about, so let's jump in to see how I handled everything while I force my newbie's perspective on each of you. Starting off the raid, we have Maiden of Saga, this word. There's definitely a D's nuts joke somewhere in there, but this boss is by far the least intimidating one that you're going to have to encounter. She just stays in this puddle, throws a magic-based tornado at you or some blood splats, which has a chance to spawn a blood spawn, and just stay out of the way of that. She will occasionally call upon red Nihilakisses to come to heal her up, and all you have to do in this room is just to whack the boss whenever you can, move away from the blood puddles, and kill the Nihilakisses whenever they spawn. It's very, very simple and shouldn't give anyone too much trouble. Next up is the Pestilent Bloat. Mindlessly walking around this pillar, the bloat is simple in design, but really creepy if I'm honest. Just look at this big boy. Bloat is by far where I take the most amount of damage in this raid, but that's just because of how I take him down. Whenever the bloat is close to you, a swarm of bugs will jump out of the bloat to do damage. While walking around the room, bloat will also knock down chunks of flesh from the ceiling, which is not fun when they land on top of you, so just avoid those. But the proper way to do this room is just wait until the bloat is on the other side of the entrance, walk in and walk the opposite side of the room from the boss, dodging all this falling flesh, and wait for him to get tired. When he does stop moving, run up to the boss and start attacking away. When he does get up, he will stomp and damage everyone close to him, so don't overstay your welcome. After he's up and between 40 and 60% health, Bloat will actually run around the pillar instead of this walking pace. If he is lower than 40%, he will alternate between walking or running, which can get kind of confusing. Regardless, my thought for waiting until he gets tired to attack him is kind of lame, so instead I eat an Angler to overheal and throw in the Salve Amulet in the BGS and just run headfirst, dumping the specs as fast as I can. Once the 2 BGS specs are sent, I swap over to the Scythe and follow him around the room, attacking whenever possible. When my health does get low, I put on a Phoenix Necklace and just keep on whacking away. When my health does get low again, I put on the second. The first attempt in this room did not go well, but the second time I actually got to blow, I did correctly put on the second P-Neck when I did get low enough again. Just before I run out of health is usually the time that bloat will stop moving, allowing me to kill the boss without any problems. Usually this goes rather smoothly unless I get hit by one of the falling meat chunks, which complicates things a little bit, but overall the boss isn't too bad whether you do it my way or you do the normal way. A little more involved than Maiden, a whole lot creepier, but still very, very simple. Now we get on to the really, really annoying room, and that's home to the Nihilakis Vas... here we go again, just this name. Like the monkey room at TOA, this encounter starts off with a horde of Nihilakis spawning around the room, and it's your job just to take them out. These little bugs are usually charging straight for one of the 4 pillars in the room, but they can end up attacking you. The goal here is just to take out all the waves of bugs matching the combat triangle. Attack the green ones with range, blue with mage, and white with melee. Outside of the waves being super long and annoying, if you happen to mess up and use the wrong attack style on a bug, the damage is reflected, and at least in my experience, and this could just be an entry mode thing, it also makes that bug not able to take damage again, regardless if you attack it with the right combat or not. As long as you don't lose all 4 pillars and you kill all the bugs, the boss will finally spawn in, and it's just a big old bug. Again, all you have to do is pray and attack the boss with the correct attack style. Pray against melee and attack with melee when he's white, pray range and attack with range when he's green, and all the same stuff when he's blue and attack with mage. Simple enough. As for my opinion in this room, surprised to know when it sucks. It's really not a surprise. I personally don't like wave-based combat situations regardless of what they are, so that's always going to be at the bottom of my list, but entry mode does scale down the HP for all the Nihilakises that do come in by 20%, so at least there's that. Seg is next, which is just a corrupted dark beast. For this room, just attack the boss with melee and make sure to pray against mage when you see the tiny little red ball, and pray against range when you see the gray one. At 66.6% and 33.3%, Seg will target a player and move them into the Shadow Realm, which, surprise to absolutely no one doing this solo, you're going to be that lucky player. All you have to do is follow the red path and exit the realm through this portal. It's very, very simple. You can, of course, just sprint right to the portal, but you're going to take a lot of damage doing so, I mean, it's up to you. Every so often, Soat will throw a really large red ball at you, and in the process, try to break your speakers with this horrific noise, and there's really not much you can do if you are solo. You can tick eat it if you really have to, but if you are with friends, you're a lucky dog, and you just have them sit next to you within a 3x3 area so they can share along that damage. That's pretty much it, honestly. Seg is a very nice, simple boss after the chaos that was the Nihilakis swarm, and it's just very, very relaxing and way nicer than the swarms, and it's very much needed after that chaos. In normals though, you of course don't just sit here and face take the boss, instead you do the flinching step back and forth method, attacking the boss only when you can. But here in Easy Land, just send those specs whenever you got them and just get out of here. I think this is pronounced Zarpus, I don't know, it's Big Bat Boy to me. He's the one that's next. This boss starts off in what's called the recovery phase. Spawns of skeletons will appear on the ground and start sending green balls to the boss, which heal him up. Just stand on them whenever they pop up and hope the next one isn't across the room. After the recovery phase, the poison phase starts. The big bat will throw splashing poison balls at you, which damage the player in a 3x3 area and stays on the ground for the entire fight. The goal now is just to try to DPS the boss down as fast as possible so you can have tiles to stand on. There is a way to walk the poison so they always land in a certain spot and you don't take any damage, but shocker to no one, I couldn't get the hang of it at all. Regardless, when Zarpus hits 33% health, the final phase starts, which is called the counter. The boss will look at one of the 4 corners in the room, and it's your job to attack the boss when he's not looking at you. If you do, you're gonna get absolutely obliterated. Just take your time during this phase and attack him when you can. Honestly, the only negative thing I have to say about this boss is the poison walk. It's still a skill issue for me for sure, as the timing is just really weird to get the hang of, but I imagine for the more skilled players out there, this room can be seen as one of the more enjoyable ones, so just keep that in mind. After the boss is down, make sure to pick up the Dawnbringer staff, which conveniently is found right outside in the skeleton spawn area right next to the entrance of the final boss. We are finally at the endgame, boys, and it's time to face off against the Queen of the Vampires, Verzik. This fight is broken up into 3 parts, the first one being the pillars. After talking to the Queen, the goal here is to use the Dawnbringer special attacks to lower the first health bar down to 0. The special attacks do a massive amount of damage, and in solo entry mode, it pretty much almost completely kills the boss with just some really nice hits. All other sources of damage aside from the Dawnbringer special or normal attacks are completely capped off and are really, really low. So if you have a buddy with you, make sure to drop and pass that staff off after you send your special attacks so he can get his going too, because there's really not a lot of damage that you can be doing here. Every so often, Verzik will charge up an attack, which can only be avoided if you stand behind the pillar. The first 2 times getting to this boss, I made the newbie's mistake of standing on this tile behind the pillar, and don't do that, you need to actually stand here to avoid the damage. Thankfully, in entry mode, the attack doesn't just kill you, but I'm pretty sure in normals, it's certain death. When done correctly, the pillar will take damage instead of you. When and if the pillar does go down, move on to the next one as fast as possible and get away from it falling down, because that will damage you. Once you take out the boss's first health bar, she will knock down all the other pillars. Again, just avoid standing next to him and she will finally make her down towards the arena. This kicks off phase 2, which I like to call the baby jumper section. Seriously, the boss's main attack is just to body slam you if you get next to her when she starts her animation, and her animation just looks like she's jumping around in one of these old school bad boys. Regardless, the goal is to stand a tile away from her and attack her when she sends out her bomb and step back away before she starts her next attack. For me, it was a really weird timing when I first got to the boss, as I thought I was stepping back in time, but I definitely was not. The easiest way for me to explain when you need to step back is to look at the animation of the bomb. When it does blow up on the ground, it leaves this green cloud looking thing, and you just need to click back a tile away from the boss when you see this green smoke come up in the air. If it goes away before you click, odds are you're getting tossed around like I did the first couple of times. Versik can also call upon a purple Nihilakis from this purple looking attack, which will heal her. To get rid of this thing as fast as possible, all you have to do is damage it with a poison or venom weapon. In my case, the Serp Helm does the trick, but you can use like the blowpipe. She can also call upon other Nihilakis during this fight, but instead of the normal looking attacks that you've dealt with before, these guys are on a mission just to walk up to you and blow up. So just, run away. The last special attack she can do during this fight is the red Nihilakis. When this does start off, Versik does this channeling animation and heals the damage dealt to her during this channel. When these guys spawn in, just attack them with melee until they are dead to get rid of them, and when her health is gone a second time, we enter the final phase. Part 3 of Versik is her true form. Now she's mobile and can use all 3 forms of attack, which is gross. Just attack her as normal, step under her when you can so that way it forces either a mage or range attack, but she can still call upon those kamikaze bugs during this phase 2, so just get ready to run away. Another special she can do is go into the center of the room and shoot webs out at the player, which is easily avoided in solos as you just have to run around her and attack her whenever you can. She can also do this green projectile attack, apparently. This is a group activity if I've ever seen one. The wiki reads that this projectile must be bounced between players or the targeted player will take 74% of their HP. Yikes. But here in Solo Land, I never saw it, so I never dealt with it. When she does get down to her last 20% HP, she will increase her attack speed and spawn in a tornado and just run away from the tornado. Don't touch it. That's pretty much all you have to do. Just attack her as normal. Finally, she can charge up this powerful attack, which creates a safe spot the player has to stand on somewhere in the arena to avoid the attack. The first time at Versik, I had no idea what I was looking at here. Okay, what was that? I don't even know what that was. On the third attempt, I did actually get to clear the boss, and I got a completion time of 15 minutes and 59 seconds, which completes the speedrunner task. That's pretty much it. Versik herself is honestly a super fun boss fight. However, as far as the other raids go, I would say she's probably the least enjoyable as a final boss. Compared to Ulm in the final Warden, Versik just falls last to me personally, and there's nothing against her for sure. The fight is still extremely enjoyable, but just when I compare him to the other two, I like those guys a lot more. On the very next run, I was able to complete the They Won't Expect This achievement and the Chally Time achievement for Bloat. When I finally got back to Versik, I did complete the Attack, Step, and Wait achievement. One run later and I got the Nihilakis on the Rock achievement done, so in 4 completions in total, I completed all the soloable Combat Diary achievements. While I show more completed runs, let's talk about the overarching problem that is with this raid that's probably going to keep me from doing this content in the future. Yeah, you heard that right, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time at this raid, whether it's entry, normal, or hard. And the main reason is that it's relying on other players. Solo TOB is possible, but it's incredibly hard and most of the time it's not really worth the effort, which forces you to join others to take on the challenge if you actually want to get higher KC amounts. Which is kind of a shame to me. I really enjoy doing things solo in this game. Yeah, I know it's an MMO, and a large portion of that title means you do things with other players. For someone like me who plays this game at the most random of hours and very inconsistently, most of my friends are either not online or just about to get off, which pretty much nails down my only option that if I want a group to do this with is free-for-all, and boy does that not sound fun at all. So because of that main reason, I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but I'm going to stop crying about being forever alone. Let's go talk about the final tally. 15 entry mode completions were done, and all of them averaged 14 minutes and 25 seconds for those completion times. Surprising enough, I did get 2 mil for all those completions, thanks to blood vials being incredibly expensive right now. That's pretty much all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the raid, and if you think this completion of all the entry mode soloable combat achievements is good enough to actually unlock this content for group activities in the future. I'd love to hear your comments down below. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Good luck on your grinds and your personal goals, and I hope to see you guys again very soon. Till we see each other again, remember, stay inspired.